Bi-Conic's wrestling fans, it's so good to see you again. I'm wearing a different shirt. This is JVL, if you couldn't tell. I'm wearing a different shirt from last time, and I'm here with a different person. This is Mikey. Hi, Mikey.
Hi, we're off to such a great start. The energy is
God, we're both so
infectious.
exhausted right now, and it's amazing between you going stuff for your school and the new school schedule for my daughter going to kindergarten. It's just bizarre, but we're here because we watched Ring of Honor. There was wrestling. It was amazing. I got to see people actually wrestle on a wrestling show.
And honestly, to add to that, this was an easy watch because it was like less than an hour. I was like, holy shit. And we
Yes,
got
but as you have seen, we are here on the Bi-Conic's Review of Honor, the Bro. And Mikey, before we get started, as with every match on Ring of Honor, we've got to respect the code of honor. So shake my hand, sir. All right, let's move into our matches tonight, Mikey, because you're right. It was an easy watch. It was match after match after match after match. Clean, amazing wrestling, and really good storytelling in certain places. Otherwise, it was just kind of a spectacle, but I felt good being in it, as opposed to last night on AEW Promo Fest 2023 Night 2. We had minimal promos, good promos when they were there, and we had matches to back them up. Not enough women for me overall, but still a good night overall.
Yeah, I mean, the best way to describe this week's Ring of Honor episode is the everybody is either in London or traveling abroad scenarios. And this is all, these are the people that we had left over, and we're trying to make something work. And honestly, I'm kind of here for it because
Leftovers are great. Love my leftovers. They reheat very well. I will say, Mikey, this was a pre-tape because we did know the results last week. But that being said, still leftovers that we know how they're going to taste, even better.
and honestly, oh, this whole entire night I was like, I enjoyed it.
Oh,
What?
oh, just, oh.
Oh.
We are very punchy right now, and I'm loving every minute of it.
But
Our
honestly,
Fester's missing out.
yes, honestly, that was my reaction though for this first match that we got. I'm like, I was like, oh, okay, these are the matches. I'm sure, okay. And it's just like, here is your opening contest. Metalik makes his entrance. I'm like, okay, cool. Zack Sabre Jr. Oh, oh, okay. And then it's for the apparently it was for the New Japan Television Champion. I was like, this is what we're starting out with. I'm like,
Wait a minute, Mikey. A television championship is being defended on a television show. This is crazy. Because I know how Tony Khan works, and he's got his TV championship defended on All Out.
listen,
AEW All Out.
listen, we'll discuss that towards the end because we have a bunch of ROH people who are going to be on the All Out pay per view, but we're gonna save all that because I want to talk about this match. Listen, this was so good.
Mikey, I'll start off with this. I have never seen Metalik do ground-based mat wrestling before.
Right?
Who knew how he was so good at this?
Oh my.
Like, seriously.
I'm like, again, I'm gonna say this like I did last week with Christopher Daniels and Zack Sabre Jr. The fact that this was like, it was so weird. Again, it was another chess match, but it was unexpected because I was like, oh, Mental League, like listen, Zach's always great. That is a given. But the fact that Mental League kind of was meeting Zach on the grounded level, to me, I was just like, I've never seen Mental League be so grounded before. And he was good. He was good at it. He was good at it.
With so many good switches, and they waited until about midway through the match to start doing some high flying offense. So it was really like between like the one of my highlights here was Zack Sabre Jr. with the break of the he was basically blocking the pin with his neck bridge as he had gotten through the crucifix pin, so he couldn't get his shoulders down. You had I loved his reversal of Metalik's wrist lock with like he's like, here, I got one for you that you haven't seen. He does like a mini axe kick to kick the wrist out. Like it was inventive. It felt like a pure rules match in the inventiveness of it, but also seeing Metalik getting different hip tosses, different arm drags, but keeping it together and like still focusing on parts of Zack Sabre Jr. So it wasn't just one technical wrestler versus someone that doesn't know how to stay in with it. Like there was no advantage that he couldn't get.
I was happy, but I was like, why do you start with such? I understand why you start with such a good match, but I'm like,
I was worried for Metalik though a little bit later in the match because Zack Sabre Jr. got him in the octopus hold and then dragged him down to the mat. And on the fall, Metalik braced with his hand, but it was in a fist, and it looked like he jammed his entire wrist up, and it was
I
bothering
know.
him.
I saw that.
Now
I'm like, ah.
that could have been something he was doing for kayfabe as well, like for all the stuff that happened afterwards, but that looked nasty. So again, it was snug. It definitely wasn't just, let's show off and do this. Like Zack Sabre Jr. was keeping him pretty honest in this. So overall, this honestly was my match of the night. Like, right off the
Yo,
bat,
honestly, same. Like, and that's part of the reason I was so mad. I'm like, this is my match of the night, and I haven't. Well, I mean, I could confidently say this was my match of the night, but even when after this match was over, because listen, that rope walk elbow drop into the Fujiwara armbar, I was just like,
oh,
for Zach to get the tap to win, I was just like, this is beautiful. I
one of
was
my new
just,
favorite sequences in
honestly,
ROH to watch that happen.
yeah. As soon as it was done and over, I was like, I'm like, this is probably my match of the night. But I'm reserved to somebody who I was happy to see again on my television screen this week.
Who could that be? Who could that be?
Well, there's a couple of reasons. I mean, we'll get into it a little bit later. This opening match was so much fun, and yes, obviously my match of the night, hands down, like no contest, so
I
good.
also noticed a bunch of yeah signs in the crowd. So obviously LNX is getting over everywhere. And it wasn't just in one place. It looked like they were being passed down the row. Each time someone like looked to the crowd, it was like, yeah. And it was in a different place. Yeah. And it was all over the map. It was so much fun.
And then, like other companies, they actually let fans have the signs. You know,
It's like the Attitude Era all over again.
seriously. So we get a backstage segment after this match. Lexi,
Yay, generic creator wrestler.
hi Lexi. Listen, Lexi does not get the love that I feel like she deserves when we talk about commentators. She is so good. I love her, but
Amazing. Not
she
Renee
is.
Renee levels after last night, but she is definitely like I would see her and Renee being a really good like back and forth. And like if we had like an all women's promotion, have the two of them be on commentary.
Seriously, I would. Oh, I would love it so much. But
With Nigel McGuinness just because.
oh,
But
so yeah, so we get backstage, and Lexi is with Maria Kanellis, and as you said, generic creator wrestler Cole Carter.
question right off the bat about Cole Carter. Like I realized he had a match later on in the night, but he looked like he was sweatier, like he had been through a match already by the time they filmed this. Like, why was he that sweaty and glistening?
Sir, I was just like, Cole, your mannerisms and everything. I'm like, did you take LSD? Like, what happened? Like, are you on a trip right
No.
now?
No, he took an intro to acting class and he's going to the worst places and his intonation was everywhere. Whoever fed him those lines
It's
may not speak
horrible.
English as their first language at this point if he can't figure out how to actually intonate this.
This was not great. And honestly, I don't want to, this was kind of uncomfortable for me. I was just like, I hate, like, Cole, there's a lot of underlining vibes here. And Maria's just like, yo, pump the, Maria, I don't want to say
Trying to
save
strap it
this,
down.
but she's just like, I got other things to do. Like, I'm kind of trying to work here. And then she's like, all right. But, I love the fact she's like, let me go talk to my kids. And I was just
I
like,
gotta call my kids. Yeah.
yeah, I got to call my
Setting up again.
kids.
I'm a mother. I have kids. But also setting up Griff Garrison and him as a tag team. I'm hoping this leads to something where they break down the road and Griff is actually the one she's scouting, but like why
I
is
have
this
so many
their time?
questions. And I'm like, listen, Griff is lost in the shuffle now that Brian Pillman Jr. is no longer in the company. And,
Even though he was getting pretty popular with Brian there. I mean, like he
yeah.
was the more of the
And I
two of
was like,
them,
so
but
I was like, I'm not mad if you want to put Griff in a tag team, but like with this dude, I'm like,
I also isn't he in a tag team or wasn't he in a tag team before he got scouted?
I don't know. Consistency is kind of all over the board.
Wrestling consistency doesn't matter.
It really, really doesn't. But yeah, this was just like, okay, Cole Carter, get off my screen. I don't want to see you. I mean,
Which he came back in afterwards. And there's a joke in that match that I wrote that I sent to the professor, and I'll send it to you via text right now so you can see it. I
oh
don't think
my
I can
gosh.
say it on YouTube, which is what I'm worried about.
It's like, if you're not part of the private chat, you only know half the story.
Pretty much. This will be for the Patreon people, if you really want to, drop us a line on the video, put a comment there, and I will send it to you. I'm not proud of this. I'm not proud of this, but I'm also kind of proud of this.
So while
I'm sending
Jay
it to Mikey right now. This is a live reaction. Here you go, Mikey. I just sent it over to you on the West Coast. You tell
Oh,
me if I can say this, or we'll have to bleep it. Yes, yes. It's funny. It's really
oh
funny.
my gosh. That is, you know what? That perfectly sums up why I was uncomfortable with this whole entire
Right?
segment from Cole's like part of this whole thing. And even Maria was just like, I don't even know what I'm doing here. And I know she's, she's in character mode, but I was like, I feel that some of this might actually be kind of true, Maria. I don't know. Listen, we're out here trying to protect Maria out from all these weirdos out here. And Cole, you better be careful because her husband will come and get you. Like, honestly.
Well, he and Matt Taven will break you, and Roddy Strong will yell your name like one of those things from a British animal, like the animated ones they do, where it's
And
like,
if it gets
oh,
and if it gets bad enough,
oh.
and if it gets bad if it gets bad enough, Adam Cole, they bring in the heavy artillery and Adam Cole will literally like end you where you stand. So this was weird. And then
So Mike, you'll have to tell me if I can. Do you think I can say that later on, or do we got to leave that out?
yeah, we should probably not say it on air because YouTube is very fickle when it comes to certain
I got
things.
away with something in my last one, so but we'll say this for you. If you're watching this and you really want to know what I wrote there, because apparently, according to Mikey and the professor and a lot of people in our chat, it's very funny, but it's one of those ha ha funnies. Um, Send us a message, leave a comment, and with your thing, and I'll DM you this thing. It'll be worth your while. I'm pretty sure. I'm actually kind of proud of this joke. So
Honestly, it was fantastic. Really, really, really bad, but it actually sums up everything. And I was like,
it does.
I'm like, Cole Carter, get off my screen. And then I forgot that he was there because next up, my
You went
manses was on my
because someone else is back.
yes, my manses was back on my screen again. And I was just like, listen, you knew what you were signing up for. We're the
Oh yeah, no, no,
Bi-Conics
no,
for
no.
goodness sakes.
I love it. I love it. Josh Woods versus John Walters, and no, not knowing myself that John Walters is an ROH original. Like
Mm-hmm.
watching these two, you can tell they've worked together in the past. They have a great connection, and this basically was a pure rules match without the pure rules on it. There was a lot of mat-based chain wrestling, a lot of back and forth reversals, a lot of great like hip tosses, arm drags. Again, kind of like the TV title, but there was an intensity to it that I think I put down here. It was so smooth that you could tell that these probably were more painful than normal big over the top moves because of how quick they moved and how easily it looked. Because you look at something like those little kicks people do with their shins to the nose, they don't look like they would hurt that much. They look kind of weak, but when you take them, I mean, you've seen like Brie Bella got knocked out by one. Like it's very, very tough, and they hurt a lot because you're actually doing major damage to make it look good.
Yeah, and then of course you amplify that because of the finisher to this. I was just like, damn, Josh Woods is out here killing people. So first he hits Walters with a big running knee and then puts the man in a standing scorpion lock to make him submit. I was just like, gosh
Need that
dang.
more often. That is a beautifully brutal submission that needs more.
Seriously. I was just like, damn, Josh Woods. I was like, I knew you were like that, but I also didn't know you were like that. Like, I'm so happy
He
that I get to see more and more of Josh. I was like, I remember hearing things that you are a submissions specialist, like you have an arsenal at your
we were told about that in the promo later on, which I have some notes on as well. But I'll also
yes.
say he came out to his original music. He's actually embracing himself again, not being part of this varsity athletes crap. Yes, he has Smart Mark Sterling as his mouthpiece. That still works because he does need some work talking on the mic, but he is a killer. And I want to watch him run through this, get back to Shibata, either take him or not, or give him the TV title out of the blue or something, or have him go up against Claudio. Like seriously, give him some meat to chew on here because he's just running through basically his history books at this point.
Seriously. And I I'm happy to see Josh racking up some wins, and we'll talk about his promo later, but Josh Woods made me forget the segment before. I was like, "Hey Josh, how we doing, honey?"
It's like having a warm blanket made of man flesh that you just pull up over you and wrap yourself in as they put you in a reverse prism lock and like
Very, very true. And then the good times get rolling for different reasons because I got both things out of here. Because the next match, we got probably my most favorite theme song ever in Lee Moriarty teaming up with the Workhorsemen, taking off Beef Beef, fucking that name.
Beef was over.
Honestly, Beef is probably like my new favorite like Job Squad member.
I'm going to take that away from you, unfortunately, but for something I kind of noticed, but we'll get to that in a second. But yeah, it was Beef, Lord Crew, and Invictus Cash, who Lord Crew and Invictus Cash have now been on 2 weeks in a row.
Right.
Lost both weeks, but they're getting pushed pretty much over by commentary.
Hey,
It's
Lord
cool.
Crew, how we doing?
I'm going to pull you back on Beef because while Beef was sizzling and Beef was salty and Beef was all these things
Fuck-
they were saying,
Fucking
his
commentary.
chest tattoo, I couldn't tell if it was like, it was a little grainy. I couldn't see whether it was a full American eagle or if it was a Nazi eagle. And
Right.
it got me because it looked a little bit like.
I had questions and I was just like, oh, I was like, I can't really tell. I hope it's not what I think it is.
There was a rebel flag, I think, there somewhere as one of his other tattoos as well. So I was
Gosh
a little
dang it.
worried about it and like rooting for him because I was like, oh, Beef is cool. Oh, I can't. This Beef is spoiled. This Beef has not aged well.
Listen, I was just like, I know tattoos are a thing, like in terms of like people can express themselves and all that good stuff. But if you did something dumb, like, okay, so I don't mean to bring up the indie promotion that is Impact Wrestling, right? But it's kind of it's to the point because so Impact Wrestling, we saw the return of Jake something, and Jake got a tattoo that was not necessarily the best thing for, because he was stupid, he was young, and he has said this in multiple interviews. He's like, I was an idiot when I was younger, and now it's permanently on my body. So what he does is he has this giant ass leg tattoo, but he covers it up with like with a leg and a calf band. And I was just like, there are ways to do this. And I was like, if that is what it was, and if that's the situation, there are ways to do it.
Well, you look at Batista too, who changed his tattoo that he had, which turned out to be from someone that was basically like anti-LGBTQ and like and transphobic, and he got rid of it because obviously that's not who he is. But this is the problem is here is like those are like the leg tattoo I can see like wrapping that up.
But this was a whole ass chest.
This is all over here, and this was a choice. Like even when you're young and stupid, you're putting that there. That's kind of like, this is where my heart is. This is what I believe in, which is why I keep thinking it's probably an American Eagle of some sort that's just harshly doing something. But there was a pose and there was a thing, and like it just looked off to me, and so I was taken out of this by Beef, and I
that's yeah, it's disappointing because I was just like, of course, I still stand by the fact that Lee Moriarty has a banging theme song when he walks in. Tyga Style is one of my favorites. And then, of course, I mean,
he dances like Prince Nana on the way down, which is great. Like, I love when he talks to himself about things, and
I want
through that there.
Lee versus Prince Nana in a dance off. I need that.
Well, I was sitting there going, like, Lee Moriarty is basically Swerve if Swerve wasn't as good on the mic. Like
that is very true.
For his skill, he just doesn't have that it factor that Swerve has.
That is very, very true. And so,
speaking of not having it factors, though, I also again noticed, and this really pulled out. I harp on this every time with the Workhorseman. I love JD Drake. Anthony Henry continues to be the blandest person I've ever met, and in this one, I realized, oh wow, you basically, if you stuck them in AEW Fight Forever, you took Josh Woods' move set and body type, you basically palette swapped him and drained his charisma. I can do everything Josh Woods does, but worse.
Man,
and this man could beat me up and break me
probably, but Henry, like,
a wonderful person. He's probably like, an amazing father or
but
uncle or something.
You are a charisma vacuum. Like and it hurts me because like listen, if he wasn't there, JD and Lee would be something I would love to see as a that fucking moonsault that JD does in tandem with the foot stomp prior to it to get the pin. I was just like, JD.
That's like it's like the coup de grace.
It is a foot stomp. I am not calling that thing a coup. It's more of a dude. That was the saddest coup de grace I have ever seen. So it's getting demoted to the foot stomp of what it actually is. But
we'll call it the hors d'oeuvre.
Not even that. It's just like no. But man,
this translates after they win with that combo, which also I love that they do. Lee Moriarty's trying to get them to do the shmoney dance.
Get this shmoney.
And Anthony Henry starts to, but he's like, I'm too cool for this. I can't. You're not cool enough. You should do it. But JD Drake can't do it and starts dancing around. And oh my God, I
It's the
love
best
a little
thing.
bit there. JD Drake happy, dancing, twirling in the ring. And Lee's like, oh, I got to get out of here. This is too much for me. And he's left by himself doing it. I'm like, yes, yes, give me that so much. All of the ski team.
all listen, all the skeezy. Listen, if JD wants to like lean into being like that, listen. I mean,
Listen,
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 Navi. You're a Navi from Ocarina of Time.
listen,
Listen.
listen, Linda, listen. No, but if JD wants to lean into this dynamic of being that one awkward white friend we all have, like we love to death, but has
Your
no.
older white pastor friend who hangs out with you because like you all go to the same group together.
I mean, kind of. I was just like, I mean, he's cool peoples. He loves you. Like, he's the best person. He will fight whoever needs to. But it's just like, sir, you were not born with rhythm and spice. And, you know, it's awkward sometimes of how bad you are.
But he's got more rhythm and spice than Anthony Henry.
That is true. And if JD wants to lean into that, I'm all here for it. Like, ugh, honestly, okay, this is just because I want them more on my television screen. But if you want to put Lee and JD in some sort of like segment with the Iron Savages and who can be the most absurd, I am all here for the. Because the weird thing is that Lee is down for whatever. Like I've seen him in the ring and on interviews. Like he's just that type of person. He don't care. He's down for whatever. The absurdity is like he's what it. And I think that makes you a fun wrestler. Is like I'm down for whatever. I'm just here for a good time. I get television time, and he has the charisma to be like, all right, this kind of might be crap, but we're gonna try to sell this.
I mean, I could also see it where if they wanted to come down this far, since they're all heels, you do the Workhorsemen and Lee Moriarty with Iron Savages. So now it's a 6-man. Yeah, it's a 6-man tag versus Andretti, Martin, and Lee Johnson, the Lucha Brothers, and Alex Abrahantes.
Honestly, like I'm here for. Listen, that would be a spectacular match. I love it. It would be great. But yeah, Henry, I love you, dude. But like the charisma, you're bringing this whole 3-person group kind of down. Uh, like
It's a 2-person group,
yes,
and somebody's
he's literally he's third wheeling it.
it's bring your stepson to work day, basically.
Man, and that
80s the news. Oh no, I'm not going down that road of stepfather jokes again. That was
nope,
all John Moxley and
uh-uh,
one.
nope, nope.
Stepdad.
I was like, nope, I was honestly though, Mox is somebody's stepdad at some point.
He's got to be somewhere. But go back and watch the AEW Dynamite review for that. The professor goes off many a tangent on stepdad.
And you know, I was like, okay, Henry, like it's fine, but you know what? You're not the worst thing, and I was enjoying myself. And then I had to cry a little bit because then who comes back on my television screen in the next match? But Cole Carter.
Jackson. Okay, right.
I mean, Dustin Jackson. Hi, sir. It's nice to meet you. But then he takes on Cole Carter. I'm like,
Who was drier coming out? He wasn't as sweaty coming down the ramp as he was in the damn promo. I think they filmed it afterwards.
I feel like he found it, like he found the air conditioner and just sat there and he cooled off, and so now he's not as sweaty. I'm like, what is happening?
But he basically bullied Maria into coming down with him, which he was so happy about. He spent the entire match, as we knew from the storyline, looking over for approval. Like, am I doing good, Mom? Am I doing great, Mom? It's me. It's Cole. Cole, your other son that you don't love.
Huh? Why don't you love me, Mom?
Yeah, love is a word for it. We can't bring up the joke that I wrote about this, but there's a type of love that was being shot across from Cole to Maria, and Maria was like, no, pay attention. You're gonna get rocked by this guy.
I mean,
oh god.
Honestly, I would have actually liked if Dustin Jackson actually beat Cole Carter, and Maria was like, no, and just leaves, but Cole picks up the win here.
Cole Carter's finisher looks like a dollar store storm break. Like he just can't get the full rotation.
So
kind of does it.
So I actually did my research this week because I was like, what are they calling these moves? And so from what I found from a couple of sources, apparently Cole's finisher is, now this is a mouthful, but it is the Eye of the Beholder DDT, some sort of variant of that move. And I was just like, what the fuck is is.
Yeah, commentary just called it the eye of the beholder when Caprice brought it up. But yeah, it looked like he basically under rotated a storm break that Osprey does, and
And
so didn't do it as well. Again,
I'm like,
he's green. I know he's working on it, and it's maybe not the best finish for him. I would like to see something like not simpler, but more like just like standard power move that like that fits him, like like a standard power bomb. Like that would be like even funnier for this. But it doesn't. He's trying to be too flashy, and it's not working for me.
he picks up the win, and I was like, get off my screen.
It was a barely believable squash.
I don't know. It's weird. I was like, at this point after this match, I was like, damn, you can really tell that we don't have a lot of people available because everybody else is elsewhere. But
I disagree though, 'cause this has been a running
that's
storyline.
true.
They've been running for this last couple of weeks, so
And I
he has
hate
no
it.
choice.
I
Yeah,
hate it.
I think I hate it more though that it's icky. I don't know that I hate it as much as being boring. I kind of would rather watch this than Anthony Henry be on my screen.
That's
But
fair.
at the same time, it's still this kind of storyline in this day and age is getting over, and I want to see where Maria is going to take it because knowing how she works within wrestling, she wouldn't have signed on for this if it was the standard Vince Russo type of crap.
Oh my
Whereas
gosh.
I'm hoping there's something to this. There's got to be something. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I just hope it doesn't turn into the last thing that Maria got as a storyline, which was when her and Mike were in WWE, and the 24/7 story was really, I was not here for it, and you could tell they didn't like it because like Maria was actually pregnant at the time, and so like they welcomed their child a little bit later. I was like, yes, we love wrestling families having babies and living healthy and all that stuff. But then they turned it into an angle where Maria's just like, Mike, this is not your child. I'm like, there's a lot of underlining issues because of how emotionally manipulative that could be, and especially knowing Mike Bennett's actual history, like of how
Yeah,
being depressed and his fights with addiction and things like that.
that's Vince McMahon taking advantage of it. I mean,
It
that's
was
not surprising.
And I'm like,
Do
y'all,
better here.
yeah, they do better here. But speaking of doing better, I was like, cool. Now that Cold Card is off my screen, like things are gonna look up. And then one of my personal favorite peoples I got to see back on my screen. I don't
Oh,
give a listen, I'm gonna drop the F bomb. I don't give a fuck here. But like
Alice Crowley is what?
no, actually, this was honestly, outside of Metalik and Zack Sabre Jr., this was just because of the people involved and how surprised I was. This was my close second for my match of the night. And it might be a little biased because my girl, Emi Sakurai, was on my screen, and I fucking love Emi Sakurai. She is
I
amazing.
had forgotten she's had a 30-year career. Like she really has been up and down
Yes.
all over the place. And she knows what she's doing, which I brought up last night too, because in that kind of 6-person tag we had for the one women's match, contractually obligated to AEW, we got Sakura versus Shida. I'm like, right, teacher versus student. Why aren't we seeing this on the main roster? This is awesome. Emmy can carry anybody. She's been carrying Nyla Rhodes for the last year and a half. Like this was amazing to watch her work on her own, play the heel but be cheered. And Alice was game. Like this was she knew how to boost up the sparring
I
partner she had.
was so entertained, and Alice actually made this. It was like, oh, she took it to Emmy in some parts. I was like, this was a lot better than I thought it was going to be as your squash match. And of course, I love Emmy Sakurai to death, but that finisher to get the win here, getting out, like using the reverse crossroads to get out of what Alice was trying to throw down into the to the Imperial
Imperial backbreaker,
backbreaker for the win. I was like,
which she
yes.
held her up like Statlander levels of long. She really got her up there, had the right fulcrum, came right down on the end, just murdered her. And then did the most Emmy Sakura thing. Instead of having her hand raised, she puts Rick Knox down on one knee and sits on his knee and just sips her tea. Is like, yes, yes, bring it all in here. I'm amazing. I am the
I
Empress.
I love it.
And
She deserves
Rick
all.
Knox's face was the best.
Rick Knox is See, I love when the referees and the other officials they get to be a part of like the craziness that wrestling characters are. It makes it so much more entertaining.
And when wrestlers are allowed to do that too, like there's a trust there to be able to do it. This was a great way to like get over the character of that she's an ass and she's also very, high on herself, but also
I'm
she's
gonna cheer for
very
her.
for it because like she's like also Joshi cute, so it's kind of
Yes.
fun.
Now,
But yes, that was also like my runner up for match of the night. I love Emi
seriously.
Sakura. Give me more of this. Emi Sakura versus Layla Hirsch soon.
Yes, please. I want it so bad. But I love it. Honestly, like the Joshi style of wrestlers just in Ring of Honor and in AEW too, like Emmy, Riho, Sheeta, and honestly, like if you want to get weird too, like I don't know why I want them as a tag team, even though they're part of different promotions, but give me Emmy Sakura and Maki Ito as a tag team. And
Yes.
Maki has gotten herself over. She's cute, but she will kill you with. She's out here teaming with Nick Gage, and she's CW.
She's working that like whole like I was watching clips of her. She is disturbingly good at it.
She's like so cute, but she'll murder you with with like a two blade.
That's about the size of her.
Honestly, but Emmy picks up the win here. Please give me more Emmy Sakura on my
I
screen.
want to see the love story between Emi Sakura and Rick Knox. Like,
Yes.
can we have that for a bit?
Oh my gosh, I'd be here. Listen, as I always say that I'm here for the silliness in my wrestling. And you know what? Like some people are like, "Oh, fun and kooky shenanigans don't belong in wrestling." I'm like, "Yes, they do, because you need
Goofy
that."
wrestling for life.
Seriously. So then we were alluding to this earlier. Back with Lexi. Hi, Lexi. I love you. You're great. Keep good doing you. But this is where we get that Josh Woods backstage interview / promo, and Smart Mark is there as well.
So I got a couple things here. I need to jump in really quick with
Mm-hmm.
Smart Marks. Just right off the bat. One, I think he swallowed a thesaurus before he came onto this thing because he was definitely running through this pretty easily. And two, I started doing a drinking game every time he said championship, and I think I passed out like way before the promo was done because he said champion or championship. I think a total of like 15 times in a 2-second span.
I mean, that seems to be the week of this across all the wrestling, where they overly state certain key phrases. Payback.
Boy, I am not excited for that. I know that, but
Yeah, but
either way,
Josh, hyping up Josh, love to see it.
and Josh got a couple words into like this is what he needs is he has Mark Sterling doing this without a little bit of baggage from that. Also, how does Josh Woods hear? Because his ears are really badly cauliflowered.
They're like Randy.
Tissue.
They're like Randy Orton, like back in the day, size cauliflower, if not worse.
Oh yeah, I really don't know how he's getting anything in there to be able to hear where he is on his right side. It's puffed up so hard. So, but this definitely sold Josh Woods some more for those that may be tuning in for the first time. I think it sets him up that he's going to be running through the pure division and just wrecking people like he should be. And we definitely see at least hopefully by the end of the year he'll be fighting Shibata for that title again.
Oh, definitely. Listen, Josh Woods and Shibata can do no wrong for me, and I'm here for it. We'll talk about Shibata in a little bit.
Give me a best of 7 between those two.
Yes,
I would watch a best of 7. Different styles of matches, best of 7, ending in a pure rules match.
Yes, please do. We'll talk about Shibata towards the end of this because I have questions and concerns, but we'll get to that. So after this, probably the most shocking thing to me in this next match. So we had the Spanish Announce Project, which is Angelico and Serpentico taking on the Outrunners. And my mind was blown because unless, let me know in the comments if I'm wrong about this one, but this is Serpentico's first win ever in this company.
He didn't get the pin, so technically he won, but he didn't get the pin. But yeah, I don't know if he knows what to do with himself now that he's won a match.
Honestly, I'm kind of here for him, like being like this comedy arrogant, be like, I won, we won, and Hella goes like, bro, what are you talking about? You didn't even get the pin. Like not out of jealousy, but like, what are you talking about, dude?
And Helico could do it that way too because he's so like just super chill. Like, and dude, yes, our team won. We won. I know you didn't win. We won. Especially against these two, who all I could think of watching it through was like, wow, that's a dollar store Hulk Hogan and also a dollar store Who did I say? There was somebody else. Oh, I can't read my thing in here because it was Hulk Hogan and the guy with the mohawk. I was like, who the heck does he remind me of? Was it Braun? Yeah, it might be like Braun, like a dollar store Braun Strowman, but from the '60s. Like they were a throwback team. It
Right.
was very much what they've done. It's a really
Definitely.
cool concept. They both like were flopping around like they were Shawn Michaels against Hulk Hogan. Like it was crazy to see. But I still was it like what was it Turbo and Magnum were the two
Mhm.
guys. So it's
PI.
just it's goofy wrestling and a lot
It
of them are like
is.
posing and stuff like that. One of them is definitely balding like Hulk Hogan too, which is great. Like it's a choice. It really is a choice.
And I'm kind of here for it. But the fact that, I mean, Angelico got the submission here for the Spanish Announce Project, but the fact that, unless I'm wrong, Serpentico wins, I'm just like, oh my mind was blown. History was made. 10 out of 10.
That was the other part. So yeah, this was made also, but I got those two dollar store references, and by actually I read my first note again. I was like, oh yeah, that's what I had here. They looked like they looked like if the Ass Boys started doing crystal meth.
Oh my gosh. Like they actually lived out the 50 Cent song they came into that one time.
It's got to be because I mean, with the tights and everything else, they look like the Ass Boys, but like it's like 40 years down the road, and they've been doing really hard drugs.
Seriously, it's oh my gosh.
This was a fun match. I would go back and watch this match again just for the spectacle of it. Like between Serpentico winning and everything else, it was fun. It was a fun match.
Yeah, I'm here for the fun times. I love when Ring of Honor and any other show for that matter can give me everything from like the good technical stuff to a spot fest to just silliness and kooky shenanigans and fun. That's what I feel like a lot of wrestling fans now in this day and age are just like, we're forgetting. I'm like, yes, we're here to review. Yes, we're here to critique. But remember, the reason we all like this is because we are entertained and we have fun with it.
And we appreciate what the people are doing there
Exactly.
to entertain us because every one of them definitely earned a spot to be able to entertain us, and we should give them credit for getting that far because there are people that don't. So again, for all the weird things we say about the Outrunners, congratulations to them. They got on ROH. It was fun to see them as a tag team there, and they were kind of over a bit. It was really, really interesting to see this kind of change of pace to like back to cocaine fueled wrestling. It was
Right.
great.
It was.
Um,
This was fun. I was also entertained by this next match, and like
I
I
after my review on Dynamite, I was so surprised how much I liked this match.
yes.
Because
So yep.
I had said that Marina Shafir, who was in this match, seemed too eager and ring rusty, and now when I see her do a full match by herself, I'm like, "Oh, oh no. No, no, she's just brutal.
uh
Brutal."
Mrs. Rodney. Anyways, but so this next match we see Marina Shafir taking on Angelica Riss.
Generic white gal. Generic white guy's girlfriend. It's generic white gal.
That is very on it. Listen, I'm like, we know. Listen, I love Roderick Strong, but I'm almost like, I look at Marina, I'm like, we know. I was like, we know.
Who settled? We know who settled.
But honestly, I love Marina Shafir outside of the ring too. She is surprisingly hilarious. In the
Oh,
same way,
she's dead hilarious.
she is so hilarious. She's on the same. To me, she's like the in-person embodiment of what Nyla Rose's Twitter game is like. 'Cause listen, if you're not following Nyla Rose on Twitter as a sidebar, you need to go follow her because she's fucking hilarious. And also, as another side note, because this is kind of related since Tony Khan owns this company, if you not have not seen uh if you've not have seen Evil Uno's new like series where he's reacting to really weird wrestling, like Nyla Rose was there commentating. I need Nyla Rose as a commentator, like please.
I think that's actually like his promotion or his school or something that they're doing the events for. I've been seeing the clips of it. The two of them on
It
commentary.
was so fucking funny.
I would love to see them like commentate an Orange Cassidy match.
Yes, do it
But
now.
getting back to the thing at hand, Marina Shafir, who's the silent killer, this one not smiling or
Oof,
anything else,
this
is
match.
judo flipping and like
Oof,
wrist lock dragging, breaking this poor jobber apart.
that oof, and we could go all around this, but that what sold it for me, I'm like, that triangle choke looks on Marina Shafir. I'm like, absolutely not. I don't want to take it. I was just like, nope, because I know she could kill somebody with it in a good way. Not critiquing her like that, but man, that was vicious.
She's going full speed judo on these folks, and yeah, they can take bumps, but they're landing harder. Like I like saw heads going up and down. She had them in a couple of snug locks there too. Also, backing up just a little bit, interesting souvenirs to get from her at the beginning of the match, where she takes her shoes off and then throws the socks into the crowd. Like, okay,
I mean,
sure. I mean,
listen, some
not since Mick
people
Foley have we seen a good, sock throw into the crowd.
honestly, like, listen, like, some people are here for, to get memorabilia from the show. Some people will keep wrestler t-shirts, towels. Some people like socks. We are all here to be supportive in whatever people, you know, receive at a wrestling
Aren't they?
show.
I also was pretty sure that Marina, had she been set up in a match against Shayna Baszler, could have pulled off legit looking MMA better than Ronda Rousey. Because this is crazily good.
So I'm in the minority in this, and we might get canceled now, but I still think, at least at that time, when we were probably running with the idea when all four of them were there, I was just like, the four MMA horsewomen I thought would have been a lot of fun. They just did nothing with it.
They did nothing with it at all.
And
Nothing.
but
Um,
I'm like, hey, Marina Shafir's out here killing it on my Ring of Honor television screen.
There was one other thing I wanted to add in, though. I would love to see if they were going to go into a mixed or like intergender tag groups, like as you're putting people together. You get Marina Shafir and Zack Sabre Jr. as a
Oh
mixed tag team, and they
my
just bend the crap out of everybody.
So I need this immediately. Like,
Yes.
my mind is blown because I'm trying to figure out, like, okay, so hear me out, right? If you wanted to have like technical prowess, Zack Sabre Jr. and Marina Shafir on one team, Katsuyori Shibata, and trying to think, who would we want to put with Katsuyori? Like,
I mean, Layla Hirsch is the one setting up to be the other badass there, and she's got that thing.
honestly, like, if you want to put Layla with Shibata, I'm not gonna complain. And then those four, I'm like, take my money, like, immediately.
Have Marina join TD, DK.
The mighty don't kneel.
Make it TMDK. She joins as the the female member there. Send her on a tour of Japan, going through beating them down, and then like come down for a Forbidden Door, and she just wrecks legit.
There are so many good Japanese wrestlers I would love to see Marina Shafir go up against. Like, again, I might be biased because she is my favorite, but if you want to work Marina through the circuit, and then potentially if the fact when she gets better and she's able to work more stuffy, honestly, Marina versus Julia would be something I would love to see. Or even Momo Watanabe would be a lot of fun too.
Put her up against Maki Ito.
Yes.
Wrecks Maki over and over again. Maki's getting back up from all this stuff. But Marina, this is again what ROH is doing well. They're building newer stars in the women's division there that are legit killers. And I could see this going somewhere. If she gets someone to help her with her promos, she'll be unstoppable, just like Layla Hirsch down there. And we have enough almost here to have a full women's pay-per-view of ROH.
Honestly, and the women in Ring of Honor are so good. Like, I mean, granted, the fact that Ring of Honor, Death Before Dishonor relied on Willow and Athena, who we know can always go, but I'm gonna be honest, and unless we get something later this year, that's my women's match of the year. Like,
Yeah,
and Ring of Honor,
no.
you have those two, but then you have so many other women. Like, you have Athena. Outside of Athena and Willow, you have Billy Starks, Layla Hirsch, Diamante, who's out here killing it with Mercedes Martinez up on Collision right now.
Rachel Ellering.
You have Trisha Dora. Like, there's so much potential. Kiera Hogan. Like,
I could see.
I'm
I
excited.
don't want to call it like anything else. Like, the sad part is I'm saying, like, it's EOH, Evolution of Honor, where you get the Ring of Honor women, and they take on the AEW women in a kind of like, you want Battle of the Brands there. You want like what Survivor Series could have been. You do a full pay-per-view with all your women on it. This would sell like hotcakes.
Yes, and of course, like, there's so many crossover matches that I'm still wanting that we never got on AEW for a variety of reasons. Like, I still want Chris versus Layla. Like, that's the match I've been waiting
Finish
for.
the story.
Yes, and unfortunately, they had to stop it because both of them got hurt
In the same week.
In the same week, which is very unfortunate. But Chris versus Layla is something I want to see so bad. But Marina is killing it. Angelica Riss out here getting screen time. She, even in Lost, I was like, girl, you have been on multiple Ring of Honors the last couple of weeks that we've talked about. So,
She's a character. Like, she
yes.
really is someone that can, like, draw focus.
So,
But then, Mikey, we come to
the main event.
Big Man Mountains versus small little toy boats in
So,
our flippy dippy stuff. And this was a hard hitting match.
this was okay. So, I'm going to catch some heat from this, right? So, this match was a lot of fun. This was great. But the Mogul Embassy's quote from last week kind of burnt into my memory, and
Same, same.
it kept repeating itself. I was like, "What?" They said it perfectly last week. It's like, why do we have to keep defending these 6-man tag teams against Action Darius and whoever they choose to bring? In this case, is Lee Johnson. I was just like, you know what? You're absolutely right. And while this was fun and this was great, I was just like, I've seen this enough times already. And I was like, we're kind of, I mean, we really ran out of people? I guess we have.
Well, trios wise, I think so. They don't have that many down that are in ROH. They've got the Mogul Embassy, and that's about it. Like Iron Savages, if they weren't up on the main roster at this point, probably would be down there. But then that's one other trio. Like I mean, the Righteous had Stu Grayson. You've got the Dark Order, but they're now going for the tag titles. And spoiler alert. Apparently, like, or they're in the tournament at least. I think, right? They're in the tournament for the tag titles. So they're going for the tag titles, not the trios titles. You've got, pretty much everyone there are splitting off into tag teams to get these tag titles first. You've taken away what you can for 3-person teams.
I mean, and okay, so again, bias here because I would love to see them more on my screen. But I feel like after I feel like because I still go back to that match we saw a couple weeks ago. If you wanted to have them feud for a little bit and just continue to have Iron Savages and Jack Jameson be built up with the ROH crowd, honestly, that match was so much more entertaining than I feel like it had any right to be. And I was just like, it was hard hitting, it was power moves, but agileness as well. I think to me, and again, bias, but I think Iron Savages and Jack Jameson are like a good foil and kind of match the styles in a weird way to Mogul Embassy here. Big men who can also agile.
And when they work against Mogul Embassy, they're working babyface, which is even funnier for them because they're just intense baby faces to them, which is where they kind of need to live. Whereas they're playing heels right now up on AEW, and it kind of works, but I'm sorry, Beefcake is just a big goofy guy. Like he needs to be a babyface. It's where it is.
Yeah. But again, I thought this match was fun. This was very entertaining. Like I'm not going to complain. I mean, the only critique I really have is because we've seen this so many times before and we're kind of just spinning the wheels here with Mogul Embassy and the 6-man tags, but I was still entertained and I still always like go when I see that pendulum power bomb for the finisher. Lord have mercy.
Cage is really good at catching that and putting it down there, though. He's so agile that way. Although I do have a critique. I every time I see his upper body, even when he flexes, it reminds me of a gym teacher I had in high school who I knew because his biceps were so big, he couldn't scratch his other arm. I've never seen Brian Cage try to do it, but I'm pretty sure he can't fully extend around and get there to scratch his other arm.
Don't let Max Caster get a hold of that because it will eventually end up in a wrap.
Easily. I hope it does. I give Max Caster full reign to take it. The other thing I was thinking as you were talking there, the only other trio I can think that's free up now, even though they're in the tag thing as well, if you drag Jeff Cobb over from NJPW,
Oh my
Aussie
God.
Open, and then you've got United Empire that could take it from the Mogul Embassy.
Honestly, I'll be here for it because see, I like better than you, baby, but I'm still a little miffed. I'm like, my boys in Aussie Open feel
They've
just
been done dirty.
they were done dirty, and I was just like the disrespect.
Yeah, totally. But
Well,
back to this match right here. Cage is a monster going off everywhere else. Actually, Andretti got a lot of the hope spots and a lot of the fire spots, which was awesome to watch. He was actually taking him down quite a bit. There was a big thing with Khan where I have to look at this. Oh yeah, he hit his head on one of the dives. His hand went
right?
off that guardrail way too hard. I was a little worried he wouldn't get up.
I'm like,
It was pretty
no,
scary.
stop, you guys. Like, come on. I can't take another wrestler potentially like getting seriously hurt, man. Like, mm.
Also, a Lee Johnson springboard cutter, the three-person through
Ooh,
this. He just went shoulder to shoulder with Brian
I
Pillman.
was just
Didn't
like,
even catch him, just landed on him.
I was like, oof. I'm like, oof. And I think that's also why I was like, on top of seeing this all before, I was just like, this was not the best match that you guys have had. Like in this like match that we have, I was just like, it wasn't necessarily the worst. I was like, but I was afraid that people got hurt. There were spots that were missed. It felt like kind of sloppy in
It
areas.
was messy as all hell. I mean, Toa was all over the map. Like, you couldn't tell where the hell he was at. That pounce he did was insane, but he was late on it, and that's kind of why I think that Darius went flying farther than he did, because there was a little more oomph behind it.
Yeah, I was
It
just
was a
like,
scary match.
it was a scary match. I was entertained, but I was just like, this was not the cleanest match, you guys. And I actually legit got concerned. And, I'm just like, I want all my wrestlers to be safe. But of course, again, Pendulum Powerbomb, Mogul Embassy retain. Sure, okay.
We go off
Fine.
the air. No Dalton Castle. No, like everyone's not there. Like the ones we want weren't there, but we went off the air in the classic fashion of just watching Mogul Embassy celebrating and Prince Nana dancing around and jumping around after getting super kicked by
I
Thor.
mean, honestly, Prince Nana dancing is always gonna be a there's always gonna be a highlight, even in Ring of Honor. It's like, he just needs to dance on Rampage and Collision, and then he has completed the bingo card.
There it is. There it is. So, folks, petition right now. Send it out there to Prince Nana. Please dance on all AEW programming. We need that in our lives.
Seriously, it's oof. I love Prince Nana. Literally, I love is a character, and I love him so much. It is great. So,
Mikey, what
yep.
did you think of the show?
So honestly, like, okay. So I knew going into this, besides knowing the results ahead of time for pretty much all these matches, but I still had a good time, and I think they did awesome with the pre-taped and all the people they got, minus Cole Carter and the weird story that we're going with Maria, and I'm like, okay, the underlining narrative is,
Narrative is a good word for it.
but you know what? I'm gonna give my score and then I'm gonna give my reasoning. So I'm gonna give this a solid 7.5 out of 10. Um,
Wow.
Again, I feel like we've been spoiled the last couple weeks with the way that everything has been paced, all the matches we've gotten, all the storylines we've progressed. That
Yeah.
obviously a lot of that was missed due to the fact that this was pre-taped and the majority of a lot of the roster was out in London for a variety of reasons.
How dare they? How dare they?
Which hot take, and you can hear me give my hot take in our all in review. I was just like,
I always love a Mikey hot take.
I was kind of underwhelmed with the pay per view, and I think if I were to rank all the AEW stuff, including Forbidden Door on it, I would put it like towards the bottom of the list, but right above Double or Nothing, which is my worst for AEW. I was just underwhelmed and disappointed. I was just like, I mean, it
I will go
was
back to what I said on our review. It was WrestleMania 3. It had moments, but if you look at it from a lot of stuff, it was not their best pay-per-view they've ever done this year. It was not their best pay-per-view they've done in their history, but as a spectacle, it was amazing.
yes,
And so that's where you look at it
absolutely.
that way. Is the nostalgia glasses of like WrestleMania 3 is where Hogan body slammed Andre. It is seen as one of the best WrestleManias in that respect. But if you look at the card under that, it is a not so great to mediocre show. That's kind of what we had here. And I fully support you that it wasn't amazing,
But
but I don't think it was as bad as you bring it up with.
no, it wasn't as bad as that. And honestly, I preferred this episode of Ring of Honor over what we got on Dynamite yesterday too. Like I said, Cole Carter brought it down a little
100%.
bit. They had to. We didn't get a lot of developments with all the pacing in the story we got the last couple of weeks, but I still enjoyed it. Seven and a
We got to
half.
see some new faces. We got to see some new
Yes.
faces we hadn't seen in a while.
And of course, Emi Sakura can always, be on my television screen.
Always.
Listen, Josh Woods is amazing to look at, but I've always loved his technical and wrestling ability too. I'm
Well, it also
just
helps that you want to be his sparring partner and get just rolled around on the mat by him. That's what's
obviously. And then of course the fucking opener was amazing. So that's a big plus. So that's why I give this week's at Ring of Honor a 7.5.
completely so. I went a little bit lower on it. I went about 6.5 on it because it was a mediocre show. But again, that's better than Dynamite was this week, and even better than Dynamite was 2 weeks ago. And that's with the negative points I gave to it. But yeah, you're right. There were some amazing new faces we hadn't seen in a while. My move of the night tonight was Shafir's big updated triangle lock. Like I had never seen anything like it before.
Yes.
So that was my move of the night. And so with all those factors involved, it was enjoyable. Yes, it wasn't like blowing the doors off, but it was still really good wrestling. And I keep saying to myself, like, I have people asking me, like, where should I get into wrestling? What should I do with this? And if they say I want to see some really good technical or like wrestling in general, I don't need the storyline as much. I'm not sending them to AEW anymore. I'm sending them to ROH because that's where you're going to see what like a kind of that makers area, that generator of good wrestling is that these people are learning. It's what NXT is striving to be and has become in certain ways, was what ROH always was and now is again.
Yeah.
So Mikey, pretty good show.
Right. And before we sign off, we do need to talk about it because it is Ring of Honor related.
Yes.
So
Why? Why?
I'm
Tony Khan, why?
So we have lots of questions, but what we're referring to is that obviously AEW has their All Out pay-per-view this upcoming Sunday, and I mean, go check out the Dynamite review. You can hear the Professor and JVL's thoughts on, the build to this.
Another promo.
The matches we've got, the match card for this is literally an afterthought. But I wanted to talk briefly because there are 3 matches that do have some Ring of Honor, well, either Ring of Honor championships or Ring of Honor folks involved in this card. So let's start with probably the best out of the 3, in my personal opinion. We have Eddie Kingston here. By the way, the New Japan Strong champion, open weight. Champion. God, that match between him and Kenta was fucking amazing.
You brought that up every time we bring up this championship.
I don't care. That match is so good. Y'all need to go watch it.
Watch it. We do.
And so Eddie,
not on Impact, so go watch it.
Yeah, so Eddie Kingston and your Ring of Honor Pure champion Katsuyori Shibata taking on the Blackpool Combat Club, this time with the iteration of Wheeler Yuta and Claudio Castagnoli. Honestly, I'm like, yes. I actually am excited for this match only because I want to see Claudio and Katsuyori go at it. And honestly, Wheeler versus Katsuyori is great too.
It is, but I think Claudio and Shibata is the only combination of those guys that I haven't seen.
So that part,
see how that works.
That part,
because but it's going to be a lot of also mind games and storytelling between Claudio not wanting. I assume there's going to be a couple spots where like Eddie's in wanting to come in and Claudio's just going to tag out and send Yuta in because he doesn't respect Eddie enough to fight him. He wants to fight Shibata. So
exactly,
that's going to be an interesting match, and I can understand why it's there to showcase ROH in certain ways, talk about the pure title on commentary. That's a fine use of your ROH people, especially since your champion and Claudio is not really part of the promotion. So understandable.
I don't understand, man.
My whys are coming from the other matches on the card, Mikey, one of which is the television title.
Okay, let's talk. Let's talk.
Taylor.
So, okay, I love Samoa Joe. I love Shane Taylor.
They played a Shane Taylor promo on Dynamite in a spot that didn't need promo.
Okay.
ROH promo.
Okay. So I was like, okay. So, and honestly, we got the answer to this when I found out this match is going to be on All Out, because I'm like, for weeks, I was like, okay, so when are we getting Joe and Shane Taylor on Ring of Honor? I was like, okay, it's going to main event one of the Ring of Honor shows in the next couple weeks. We've been getting Joe talking, Shane talking. I was like, it's going to be happening at some point.
Yeah.
And then when I find out that this is going to be on the AEW pay-per-view, I was just like, I kind of feel slighted as a Ring of Honor reviewer and a fan. I was like, one, and again, it's really weird because I love seeing Joe and Shane. This match I think is going to be a lot of fun. I think it's going to be great. But I'm kind of upset. I rather would have seen it on Ring of Honor than in AEW, because at least I guess in the world of Ring of Honor television that we've gotten, like, I don't want to say the fans would have appreciated it more, but the fans would have appreciated it more, especially
They
the
would have.
listen, if I it's a television champion, it should be on Ring of Honor. Like,
Well, and that's the other part is that you're bringing up to this thing where Joe is a known quantity. You just had him on All In. Shane Taylor really isn't known outside of ROH.
and
So even if you put this on like AEW TV,
it's
you
tough.
have one barely promo from Shane Taylor who sets up who he is from ROH that played last night. But the amount of time where it wasn't on the TV show and everything else, I'm pretty sure most people who are casual fans would have tuned out at that point. I know I did. And I fully tuned out because I've heard it before in ROH where it was in a better spot. This is an ROH television title. Honestly, you want to go for something really explosive? You take a Rampage slot and you make it Ring of Honor night.
Yes.
Make it as an ROH broadcast. So now this is a live broadcast of ROH on an AEW slot.
I'm gonna be,
and that's their pay-per-view. That would have been more worthwhile than sticking on a card that you have to cobble together after cobbling together another one due to injury and everything else within the same month. And I know Tony Khan thought this was a great idea to have two pay-per-views in the same month, basically within the same 2 weekends. And he wanted to do this thing, which I thought was kind of cool. Just bundle them together. You pay one price for two things.
But he could not.
He wasn't allowed to, and he's going to try it again next year. It doesn't work. We're burned, and especially after the Wembley show, there was so much emotion and hype behind that because of what it was as a spectacle. This is going to be a C show or a D show. It's not even a B show for their things, and it should be an A show.
See, and this might be the optimist in me, and when we review All Out, like, I am fully open to everybody else telling me they told me so, but I think the matches have the potential to be fun. It's just everything in general for that card is an afterthought, and I'm kind of upset because, like you said, and I think that's why I hate that this match is on All Out, is because of the fact Joe is over regardless of where he goes. Like, he's that hot commodity. He's a big star. And I feel like putting this match on an AEW pay-per-view, especially since, again, I'm assuming a lot of things here, but a lot of the casual AEW fans aren't going to go watch Ring of Honor. And it does nothing for Shane. It does nothing for Shane.
My Booker hat goes on here where you could have had a whole thing where, you have this whole thing with Claudio being an absentee champion. You set it up where Joe is defending the TV title on AEW TV all the time, but not doing it there. He's an absentee champion, and Shane Taylor wins this tournament because ROH is like, we need to get this back on our TVs. So you send Shane Taylor up to go confront Joe where he is at All Out. That makes sense. There's your built-in feud, and the whole thing of like, you can get it over one promo. Like, I've been sitting down here in ROH holding up, and you won't come down here to defend yourself. Why couldn't we do that? Why is this on All Out? The same thing with the other match they're saying they're putting on the 0 Hour, which is Athena versus Billy Starks, which, yes, I want that match for that title at some point, but not right now. The storyline's just starting about the Minions. Why are we getting the Minions for 2 weeks, and then they're on All Out fighting each other? I don't know. I don't know, Mikey. I can't, for the life of me, see, other than the fact that they have nothing built for this, and they're scrambling and pulling things in from their other promotions because they're so screwed that they have to do this because they're killing all their storylines.
I don't know, man. I'm just like, I think this is probably the match that has made me the most upset because it does nothing for Shane. And again, we've talked about this, that Shane Taylor may not be everyone's cup of tea, but this man has been a staple in Ring of Honor for the last 10, 15 years. And I feel like he at least deserves, a stage where people are going to appreciate this match for what it is. As a Ring of Honor person, I think this match is going to be fun, but I feel like it's not going to get honestly, I don't foresee a lot of just people who just watch strictly AEW to talk about, be like, oh yeah, here the intricacy. No. And I think that makes me upset. And okay, so the last thing that we're going to talk about is, because I don't want to keep talking about this ROH TV champion, because I think I'm going to get more and more upset the more I talk about it. I'm just like, ah. But
yeah, no.
So the next one kind of makes me mad, but like I'm okay with it, I guess, is that
I'm not.
actually, you know what? I'm lying to myself. I'm absolutely upset with this only because so the Better Than You Baby, your Ring of Honor tag team champions are going to be defending their title, and whoever wins the tag team battle royale on Rampage. And then I saw the field for that, and I'm just like,
I had it spoiled for me who wins.
you could tell me off camera because I'm staking this claim here and I'll put it later. I was like, I'm taking a break from Collision and Rampage this week because I'm just like, I was so disappointed with Dynamite. I'm like, Collision and Rampage, I'm already like soured on it. I was like, I just want to get through All Out and then I can reset and be just start making my way towards Full Gear in November. But
Who are you, the AEW booking committee? Like, seriously, I don't
uh
like them.
I hate it so much. And like honestly, minus Brawl Out of last year, like All Out has been probably my favorite AEW the last 2 years, especially 2021. That is still my favorite pay per view within the last 5 years that since I've come back to watching professional wrestling.
And
Period. Like,
that's saying something highly right there, Mikey, because knowing what you like and what you watch, that's huge. I
like
I don't know what they're thinking with this. I'm hoping they learn from these mistakes and try something different next year because this is just we're burnt and we're expecting too much and they're not going to be able to deliver. And it's worse than that now because the hype isn't even there because we're all just sitting there going, we don't think you can do this. And they're not proving us right so far. It's very sad.
no, and in hindsight, again, this is Ring of Honor, but it's owned by this person who also owns AEW. For me personally, while I've still had found enjoyment in bits and pieces throughout the year, this has really not been AEW's strongest year for a variety of reasons. And then I'm not going to be one of those people that are like, oh, they're failing. I'm like, they're not necessarily failing as hardcore as haters say they are. I think not even failing's the correct word. I've just been very disappointed with a lot of stuff and
Yeah.
underwhelmed. Those are like the two words I would describe AEW so far this year. It is very underwhelmed and disappointed by certain decisions. And like, it's weird.
And they're very lucky that their competition is also suffering from the same type of weird decisions because if Triple H had gotten to do what he wanted to do for the last 6 months, this wouldn't even be a thing. AEW would be very, very in a hard place right now. Add on to that the fact that they've got the influence of David Zaslav from WB calling the shots on their new TV deals coming up, and we have some just issues. They're trying to do all these things for them, they can't. We're going down this road too far, Mikey. We've given our ratings to the Bro. This is an ROH review, and Mikey, we've come to the end of the Bro.
Yes.
And as we usually do, again, extend the code of honor. Mikey, it has been a pleasure to be with you here today to do this fight with you. Do you want to go over how they can reach us, what they can do to help us out as the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast? Because we need our fans to help us.
Oh, absolutely. So, once again, thank you so much for tuning in to another Bi-Conic review of Honor, otherwise known as the Bro.
Bro.
If you like these long form reviews we seem to magically make happen despite how crazy things get in our personal lives, you can check out all the other long form reviews we got here on the Bi-Conics Wrestling YouTube channel. Pretty much cover every single major promotion and television show weekly, from your mainstreams like WWE and AEW to the smaller things like Ring of Honor and the independent scene that is Impact Wrestling and NXT to
Yes,
a certain extent.
yeah, we don't do NGPW, we don't do Progress or Evolve, but like we do most of it. So if you want it there, if you
Mhm.
if you want to ask us to do something about that, tell us what you want us to do. Send us some money our way. Maybe we'll get on one of those things. I'd love to watch a Progress show. Come on.
Honestly, and if the rumors are true and we get weekly television shows of Triple A, I'm also here for it because then honestly, I'm like Adolfo will be all over that like honey on a like flies on a honey. I'll be like, I'm so here for it.
So Mikey, they can follow us at BC Wrestle Pod on
Yep.
YouTube, on Instagram, on all the other places.
Threads, X,
Friendster,
LinkedIn.
MySpace.
But
LinkedIn page is really, really happy.
honestly, so you can follow us on all the social medias at BC WrestlePod. You can also follow us individually. You can follow me at the Pop Culture Geek. You can follow my lovely co-host JVL at the JV Lexicon, where we want to
I
have.
apologize if you follow me there. It's all pictures of my daughter, my walks, and some of the plays I'm in. So it's not the best ever, but still do that. I'd love you for it.
Honestly. And then, of course, you can check us and the rest of the Bi-Conic boys on the Bi-Conics Wrestling Podcast, where we do everything but review television shows. We talk about all the likes, the dislikes. There's a lot of fun moments, and
How
we're
much we love each other.
how much we love each other on in multiple more ways than one. And we basically make fun of each other, but it's literally a family on across everything that we do here. And we hope to have you a part of our Bi-Conic family. So leave comments, hit that bell notification, subscribe, follow us on all the social medias if you like, and let's have a conversation. We're always looking for people. Share. We're always looking for people to, have conversations with and kind of to spread this out to whoever wants to watch seven dudes review wrestling.
And we've got, not to spoil this week, but coming up for our reviews this weekend, we might have a special guest who is a fan of ours and a subscriber joining us for some of the reviews. So keep
yes, please. It's been a work in progress. Like this individual I have come to love, even though I have not had a single conversation with them. But listen,
it'll be fun.
It's going to be great. But that is going to be it for the bro this week. So until the next review, remember, take care of yourself, love one another, and as always, adios, sayonara, and thank you for watching.